Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the story of Bugatti can pull the strings of millions of people's hearts. It's a tale of the rise and fall that will make you cry, but simultaneously you will feel a rush of adrenaline by witnessing the efforts of Ettore Bugatti. You must know that this man created the fastest and most luxurious cars, earning him the title of the best mechanical engineer of his time. However, the good times didn't last forever as he experienced the heart-wrenching fall of Bugatti. Now you must be itching to know the cause of the downfall. Let us break down the incredible yet tragic journey of Bugatti. This future mechanical engineer came into the world on September 15, 1881 in Milan, Italy. He was brought up in a semi-wealthy family as his father was an internationally famous jewelry maker and furniture designer in Milan, while his grandfather was not any less as he was a popular sculptor and architect. This talent for art also seemed hereditary, as it was also present in Editore's younger brother, Rembrandt Bugatti. From the start, Rembrandt had more skills in sculpting than Ettore, and he awed the world with his sculptures. However, it didn't mean that Ettore had no natural talent. He was the hidden gem in this family who had acquired a different set of skills of an engineer. At a young age, Ettore learned the complicated designs of machines. Ettore was just 16 years old when he easily repaired a broken tricycle. At the display of such brilliance, his father motivated him to take an apprenticeship job at Prente and Stucci. It's a factory that was known for making bicycles and sewing machines. This suggestion piqued the interest of Ettore, and he readily agreed to join the factory. The young Ettore was so talented that he only managed to design his own tricycle after a year of training. We must tell you that he designed this tricycle to participate in competitions from Paris to Bordeaux. Stucci's work experience opened a gate of new ideas for Ettore. He started to observe the world of automobiles, speed, and mechanics, which later became the essence of his business. In 1900, Ettore decided to leave his job at Prente and Stucci, then to start designing his own car. At 19, he was meticulous at his work, and the world was wonderstruck at his automobile designs. Like a perfectionist, Ettore supervised the making of his car body's parts and engine. Eventually, this became his lifelong habit of overseeing the creation of all his future cars. Ettore was so particular about the detail that most of his designs were considered complex in the eyes of famous engineers of the 1900s. Soon his work caught the eye of the Dietrich Company, and they hired him. He was asked to design and create vehicles for his established company. Well, getting a professional contract at such a young age is no joke. However, he was still minor in the eyes of the law, so his father came forward to sign the contract on his behalf. That's how the journey began, and Ettore traveled to Germany to polish his skills. He worked there for a few years during that time. Ettore learned the trade of automobiles. In 1903, Ettore succeeded in creating his second car for Paris-Madrid. To his dismay, the vehicle got rejected from entering in car races. People were not ready to accept this new version where the engine and driver's seat was replaced in the car's chassis. According to Editore's perspective, this setup was best for aerodynamics and the center of gravity. But still, some people didn't understand that this car would be the future of car racers. They believed that having a higher seat for the driver was the correct way, but soon they were proven wrong. Then in 1906, Ettore left the Dietrich Company. After that, he started noticing that most of automobiles of the time were designed by skilled engineers. That's why the selling prices of these cars were quite high. The surprising fact is that the wealthy ones only owned these expensive cars. Mostly they were used in racing as the sport became popular in Europe and in America. Only after a year did Ettore meet the love of his life, Barbara. His wife seemed to be a good luck charm for him, as he signed a multi-year contract in the same year. He started working with a company named Deutz in Cologne, Germany. Around this time, Ettore started making heavy engines for the gasoline engine manufacturers. However, it was the same time that this young man got the idea of developing the engines of his own cars. Ironically, they were different from the typical engines of his era. Ettore thought a lightweight and small car would be better than cars with large-scale engines. That's why he started developing a new vehicle in his basement, and guess what? This vehicle was the first Bugatti car named Bugatti Type 10. This Bugatti Type 10 was completed in 1909, and it had a 1.2-liter four-cylinder engine that weighed only 365 kilograms. You'd be surprised to know that this car can reach up to 80 kilometers per hour. Well, that's too impressive for this man who was still getting experience. At this success, Ettore decided to leave Deutz and took his Bugatti car to Molsheim. This was a place where he started his own company with the name Automobiles Ettore Bugatti. After setting up his business, Ettore used a car racing platform to show the speed of his cars. Undoubtedly, it was a great move on his accord. As expected, people began to like his vehicle's designs, and he soon became the best car designer of Molsheim. It appears that this year was the luckiest year of Ettore's life. As with all these achievements, he also welcomed his first son in 1909. With time, the automobile genius also introduced other Bugatti cars in the automobile industry. One of them is the Bugatti Type 13, which had improved its predecessor's design. Ettore added leaf springs to the rear axle in the model with a fantastic 16-head cylinder design. With such a powerful engine, this car is capable of providing great speeds. This Type 13 got second place in the French Grand Prix in 1911. This accomplishment certainly strengthens his position as the world's best car designer. This appreciation encouraged Bugatti to keep on working on other models. After Bugatti Type 13, Ettore went to Bugatti Type 23. Not only that, all the models had the same Type 13 engine design. However, the prosperous time came to a halt when First World War broke out. Between 1915 and 1916, Ettore decided to move to Paris to work with the Duesenberg brothers. At this time of war, Ettore suggested the creation of the U16 engine. It looks like two straight lines are sharing a crankcase in between them. That's why Ettore called it the Bugatti U16. Now, we must say that it was not a great success, but it led the trio to the great idea of straight 8 engine design. At this point, the war had ended, so Ettore moved back to Molsheim, which the French now ruled. Regardless of that, Ettore continued making sports cars. Then he added a multi-valve engine in Type 13 that gave him great success. The new car won 3 races and earned the name of Bugatti Type 13 Brescia. And you'll be surprised to know that this car got 400 victories by 1925. Even 2,000 prototypes of this car were created before 1926 because this was the most successful Bugatti car among other models. Then the car racing victories continued with the new model, the Bugatti Type 35. After that, Ettore witnessed the astonishing victories of his life in 1935 and 1939. During the car racing victories, Ettore's son John proposed that they should start their luxury car business. In 1926, they introduced their first luxury car, the Type 41 Bugatti Royale. This model was an example of Ettore's brilliance and expertise in the automotive development. Being an expensive car, only some highly reputable men were able to get their hands on this most successful luxury car. That ultimately made the model more prominent in the industry. However, a fall in the world economy greatly affected Ettore's rising brand. The sales of Bugatti Royale came down drastically, and the company's financial condition was severe to the point of bankruptcy. In the mid-1930s, the French government demanded Bugatti develop rail cars for them. Ettore had no choice, so he complied with their offer. He successfully manufactured 80 Bugatti cars, which gave him enough money to save his drowning company. Although that was not a time to relax, as the workers in Bugatti's plant in Molsheim went on strike. They demanded high wages and better facilities. At first, Ettore refused to give in, but eventually he agreed. Time passed and Ettore got the title of one of the most greatest manufacturer designers. He created plane engines, speed trains, and boats. Over the years, Ettore got to observe his son's talent, John Bugatti. Like his father, John was an excellent engineer, creating many new models of Bugattis when Ettore made him in charge of the plant. A few of his best designs were Majestic Royale Type 57 and the famous Atlantic. There's no doubt that he would be the next successor of Bugatti, but in a blink of an eye, everything went crashing down for Bugatti. In 1939, like always, Bugatti got a victory in Le Mans with a Type 57 tank. After 2 months, John Bugatti decided to road test the Type 57. While he was driving, a cyclist suddenly appeared out of nowhere, so John had to change his way to save the cyclist abruptly. But sadly, he could not save himself. The car bumped into a tree and the talented son died in one moment. When Ettore got the news of his son's death, he started crying hard. Ettore still could not overcome the death of his younger brother Rembrandt, who committed suicide during the World War I. Now he believed his son also left him in the world alone. As if that wasn't enough, the German army took control of Bugatti's plants. Fortunately, Ettore was aware of this threat. That's why he had already moved most of his machinery to Bordeaux. However, the German army captured him and forced him to sell the company. Ettore was already having a difficult time handling the company, so he reluctantly sold his lifelong dream for less than 50% of its value. After many struggles, Ettore decided to take his company's rights back, but lost the case. Things went worse when in 1944 he lost his loving wife. Ettore was hopeless now, but he still decided to visit his company in Mulchen. When Ettore witnessed the condition of his company, he lost all strength. His health started to get worse, but as a last resort, he applied for French citizenship to take back his company rights. Unfortunately, the process took a long time, and in 1966, Ettore was diagnosed with lung disease. Eventually, the good news came, and Ettore got back his possessions. But only after 10 days he passed away, and just like that, the Bugatti company was forgotten for many years. In 1987, an Italian entrepreneur, Romani, got the company and re-established the brand in a new way. After 5 years of work, the company produced a new model named Bugatti EB110. This car had a speed of 213 miles an hour, and its catchy appearance impressed the audience immensely. However, before reaching its peak, the company had to face bumps on its way as due to mismanagement. It was bankrupt in 1995. Then in 1998, Volkswagen obtained the brand Bugatti, and he was the one who reintroduced the hypercars that are famous in today's world. In the late 1900s, they created many models after they took a short gap. Perhaps they did it because the company wanted to make a blockbuster entry with Bugatti Veyron 2005. It was the hottest car with 254 miles an hour, breaking the record for fastest road-going cars. It remained popular until 2015, and then people fell for Bugatti Chiron 2019 with its great 305 miles an hour. Now, don't you think the story of Bugatti tells us that despite the death of his creator, his work doesn't cease to exist? Don't hesitate to say what's running in your mind and write your opinion in the comments below. See you in our next upcoming exciting video. Till then, take care.